Hello pandas of the internet, my name is Panda-chan. I'm a full-time artist-ish, a part-time cosplayer, and someone who just started posting shorts on this channel. They are little speed paint drawings of my D&D and other RPG characters, so go check them out. I would also like to remind you, if you like what I post, to subscribe. With that being said, today's horror story is about how a DM's attempt to include an inventory management system into his game results in a tantrum from a player. So if you're ready, sit back, relax, and let's get into it. This RPG horror story was posted by Hellbrune. Player wants infinite items, throws tantrum. I run Cyberpunk Red. I really want to play Cyberpunk, that sounds like so much fun. I've had an online campaign running now for about 10 months. It's a solid group. Sure, we have had the occasional hiccup, but nothing worthy of this subreddit until now. The Cyberpunk Red rulebook doesn't have any real rules to dictate carrying weight or how many items someone can carry with them at a time. It just relies on a rule of common sense. I relied on that as well and just kinda hand-waved checking for inventory a lot of the time. I don't like to get bogged down by micromanaging my players, I just want to get into playing. But there were a few moments where my player characters brought or wore items that didn't make sense at all to where they were going, and narratively it felt like it didn't work. Stuff like wearing police-issued armor to a casual outing at a gang's dive bar, or bringing an assault rifle to a carnival performance. I also wanted to encourage my players to think strategically about their carried inventories and not to be able to pull a rabbit out of their hats at a moment's notice. I tried to put together an inventory management homebrew, but the player this post is about immediately started looking for ways to exploit the proposed rules so he could still carry 30+ items. It was completely against the spirit of what I was trying to accomplish. I decided to scrap what I originally proposed and said that I was going to do some thinking about how to change it, but essentially that the goal is for people to be bringing closer to a dozen items instead of 30+. I said I needed to think about a simpler, fair way to accomplish what I was trying to accomplish, and that I encouraged everyone's feedback so that way we could have something everyone is happy with. 2 of the players approved of having something in place as they like to plan strategies. Player 3 started to have a meltdown. He said it completely undermines and nerfs his character to have an inventory limit of any kind. He said he built his character around having a lot of items, and it ruins it for him. I said there needs to be some kind of limit, as no one should have infinite items carried with them. Player 2 asked 3 what he thought was a reasonable and fair amount of items to carry. I also asked Player 3 how many items he actually used in the last few sessions, because it was not anywhere near 30 items. Player 3 refused the notion of having an inventory limit and argued both in group chat and started blowing up my DMs, saying he would leave the group if I imposed an inventory system of any kind. No matter what it was, he would not agree to it, and that was non-negotiable. He then said that if I did this, I needed to make his character stronger by making drugs more powerful and changing his gas jet weapon to use handgun instead of shoulder arm skill. I said if he wanted to make a more powerful drug or make upgrades to his gas jet, he needed to consult with our tech player to propose an invention. There's an entire role dedicated to making upgrades and modifying items. I'm not going to do this for anyone for free. I ended up saying that I was suspending any kind of inventory management homebrew for now, and I would only implement something if everyone agreed it was fair. Player 3 refused this also, since I still wanted to implement something at some point, and decided to quit the campaign. Quite frankly, the ultimatum, the tantrum, and the entitlement soured me to him as a player, and to be honest, as a person as well. He started asking about doing a send-off for his character in-game, which I haven't responded to as I am frustrated and disgusted at his attitude. Update. Thanks for all your insight. I have a small update about the situation. I told the player that I will not be doing any send-off sessions for the character. I told him he chose to leave because he wanted to metagame and was focused on winning instead of telling a story. I also said that I did not appreciate being given ultimatums and being told, run the game the way I want or I'm leaving. So that's it, it's done. He told me, quick correction, the main reason I'm actually leaving is because of the time zone difference / unhealthy hours, and said he wasn't trying to be a power gamer, but it was about what was more fun for him. That actually made me even more irritated, because I don't believe he can in good faith say he would have quit the game yesterday if the topic of inventory management had never come up. When we were discussing the issue in the DMs yesterday, he eventually got to the point where he said, I can't be bothered with this anymore. I'm leaving the campaign. Then he made a long post to the group chat that he was leaving, and he gave inventory management and his spiel about it as reason number 1 for why he was leaving. I hesitate to use the term, but it did feel like he was trying to gaslight me about what happened in the moment, in some attempt to placate me and make me feel like the circumstances about him leaving the game were more acceptable somehow. It certainly had the opposite effect. It does really depend on how realistic you want your game to be, but I would like to say that a dozen items in my opinion is more than enough. Unless you're counting each tool in a toolbox as a separate item and each playing card in a deck of cards, then it's definitely not enough. But I don't think that was the case. In my experience, I and other players in our group self-imposed inventory limits even, because the situation called for it, so I don't think having a rule about it would be bad enough to throw a tantrum. With that, we have come to the end of the horror story. Leave me a like, subscribe, and in the comments tell me what's your favorite RPG system. I have played D&D, Vampire the Masquerade, as well as a Star Wars game, but I'm interested in what your guys' favorite systems are and what you recommend. The links to the original story is in the description, so go give it a read. You can find my social media links down there as well. And with all of that being said, I will see you next time.